Today I'm with Jeannette Ng. How are you, Jeannette? It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
I'm well, thank you very much, Nico, for inviting me onto your podcast.
Jeannette, first of all, can you introduce yourself in a few words, please?
My name is Janet, as you mentioned. My Chinese name is Ng Sao. I live in Hong Kong. I actually live in a country park up in the northeastern part of Hong Kong. It's a beautiful place that I would invite all of you to come and visit. I'm a race organizer myself. I organize a race called the Fibram Hong Kong 100, which is held in January every year. And like you, Nico, I am an avid trail runner. I also enjoy running on roads, and so both of them I enjoy. I am also the president of our local trail running association, called the Trail Runners Association of Hong Kong, that we set up just a few years ago. And well, today it's the 7th day of the Lunar New Year, and it's actually the 7th day. It's what we call the People's Day, so it's the birthday for everyone. So I wish everybody a happy birthday.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. You are in Hong Kong today. It's a plus 7 hour.
Yes, and I'm in Hong Kong today. In fact, I haven't traveled outside Hong Kong for 2 years now.
Oh,
So since COVID hit, I was planning to go to Chamonix in the summer. When we come back, it was a 7-day quarantine. But just before I flew, the quarantine restriction increased to 21 days hotel quarantine when we come back here. So I had to quickly cancel my trip because 21 days in a hotel room and not being able to get out was just too much for me.
It's not possible.
No, for me, it's not possible.
Janet, can you tell us about your childhood? What was your family environment? What was the place of sport in your life?
I'm the second eldest in a family with 5 children. We are 4 girls and a boy. And our family is very closely knit. And my sisters and I, we are around the same age. So we grew up just doing everything together. And we also have a lot of cousins that run around with us and do things with us. So we go to a school, and schools here tend to be like big classes. So, for example, in my class, we had 40 students.
Oh.
And I grew up growing up in Hong Kong. It's a busy place. So the childhood, it's been busy, dynamic, and here education is paramount. So there's always a big emphasis on education. In terms of sports, I think I was pretty fortunate to study in a school where it really emphasizes on an all-round education. So I did play sports quite a bit in school, and I was specializing in 400, 800 meters and cross country. Cross country is really my thing that I really enjoyed. So I think my childhood was, I think looking back, it's a happy one. It's quite typical of a Hong Kong girl, and I was living in Hong Kong till I was 17, and then I went over to the UK to further my higher education.
Okay. Yeah. So you went to UK at 18?
Yeah, when I was 17. So
17,
I got
sorry.
a scholarship. 17, yeah. So I got a scholarship from the Hong Kong government and went to this school in Wales.
Wales, okay.
And yes, in South Wales, very different from Hong Kong.
It's a different environment.
it's a very different environment. The school was actually a castle donated by somebody who believed in international understanding. So it was started after the Second World War. So it's a bit like, I don't know whether you watch Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Hogwarts. So
Okay.
it's beautiful, it's
Yeah.
amazing, and it's 40 minutes walk from the nearest village, which has like 2 high streets. So it's a very different environment, but the students came from like 70 different countries. So it was an eye-opening experience, and I had a lot of fun. And then after the 2 years where I did my international baccalaureate, I stayed in London to do my degree, and then came back to Hong Kong.
And when you came back to Hong Kong, was it for work?
Yes, very much so. I worked as a trainee solicitor, so I studied law, so I practiced law. So
Okay.
I came back to Hong Kong and practiced as a lawyer.
Okay. Can you tell us your meeting with trail running?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I've always run when I was young, but kind of stopped when I was in the UK. I think other pursuits just took over. But when I came back to Hong Kong, I met my now husband, and he was new to Hong Kong, so he was from the UK, and he just liked to run around to explore the city. So in an odd way, so I was introduced back to our trails because we started running together, and it was back in those days. I think the trails was still a hidden secret of Hong Kong. People know Hong Kong for its cuisine, for its shopping, but nobody really thought about Hong Kong as a place for trail running. But so we just started running then, and it was almost like an antidote to the stressful work life that we had. And I started off. I remember the first time I did. It was an out and back route, and I didn't know. I just followed. Went out 4Ks, and it was so difficult. Like 4 kilometers. Like I just thought, like, how could it take forever like this? And then had to turn back. But I'm sure you're like that as well, Nicole. Like
Yeah.
we just kept going further and further,
Yeah.
and it just went from there.
You're the co-founder of Vibran Hong Kong 100. Can you tell us about the beginning of the story with that event?
So I started running when I came back to Hong Kong on the trails. And in Hong Kong, there was a very famous race called the Oxfam Trail Walker. It's 100 kilometers. And it was started in the 80s. And it's a team event, though. So you have to go in teams of 4. And that was really the big long distance event in Hong Kong in those days. Other than that, it was the shorter events. So I started doing the Trail Walker in 1999. And again, I just wanted to test myself on longer and longer, bigger challenges. But in Hong Kong then, there wasn't any 100-kilometer individual races like that you can sign up individually. So we had to go to overseas to do these events. And when we were in Australia, we were doing the Ultra Trail Australia, my husband and I, we just thought that it was just such a beautiful and amazing journey and an amazing experience. We thought, come on then, why doesn't Hong Kong have one? I mean, we've got these beautiful, beautiful countryside, but we haven't got a individual foot race. And doing an individual event, it's very different from a team event. It requires different things of one. So we thought, tell you what, let's organize a race for our friends in the trail running community. And we just started from there. We did the Ultra Trail Australia in 2010, and we put up the event in 2011, picking the coldest and driest month, which is January here. And I remember the first year, those were still the days when you have to hand out application forms, hard copies, and hard copy flyers. So we would be like standing around at the end of events, just handing out these flyers to people and begging them to join the race. And when we go to work in the morning, we always have this bet, like how many applications we will get in our letterbox today. And so the first year, we had 175 applications. 150 people turned up at the start line. And I remember, because we see all the applications like in paper form, and we have to key in everybody's detail. Like I remember all their names. Like it's a very different relationship to like the way that the event became more and more popular, and there are so many people, but we still really treasure. And in my office, I still have this picture of the first year, the starting arch, where it's just a blown up arch with a little banner in the middle. And we were at the start, and all the sponsors' logos were flying off because it was so windy. And it just started from there. And by the fourth edition, we had to do a ballot because the numbers just grew so fast. And but it was still amazing. Like I think the first year is very memorable, and there are these runners, I think 30 of them, that has been with the event every year. And it's great to see them like every year.
Since
they come
20
back
years, they came back?
Yeah, 10 years. We had the physical event for 10 years. For the last 2 years, we were only able to do a virtual event. But yes, and even for the virtual, they were doing it overseas. And just being part of it. It's a reunion every year. It's, yeah.
Can you tell us your best memory as an organizer of this event?
As I said, the reunion, the meeting new friends, reuniting with old friends, that was something that I just find amazing. It just opened my eyes to so many different stories. I love like hearing the stories of the participants, just seeing their faces when they cross the finish line. We had marriage proposals over the years. Yeah, so like so some runners would hatch a plan to get down on his knees and to make a proposal, and so we would be helping them to prepare the big surprise. Yeah, those are very memorable to me, and I feel very privileged to be part of it. And as you know, I mean, organizing an event, it just requires the effort of hundreds of people, and just to be able to get to know these people, to build something together, I think it's just something that to me, it still amazes me, like how many people are prepared to give up their time and energy and the love for the sport, just to be out there to support each other.
It's a wonderful sport. It's a wonderful event. Can you explain to us the place of trail running in Asia, historically, and more especially in Hong Kong?
So in Hong Kong, it started off with this event back in the 80s. It was actually started as a training program for the Gurkha regiment in Hong Kong, so the Nepalese regiment that was stationed in Hong Kong during the time when Hong Kong was still a British colony. And then it became a charity event. And in Hong Kong, there is always a very strong charity element to trail running. A lot of the events started off for fundraising for different charities. And because there are so many team events, we share a lot of knowledge, and everybody just help out each other a lot. So it's a very nice.
It's social. It's a social
Very
sport.
social.
Mm.
It's a very social sport.
Mm.
And you go out to the hills and everybody like just release their burden of the week
Mhm.
and hit the hills together, and you just feel cleansed afterwards. And it's very easily accessible because our city where we live is just next to the hills. So, and also for overseas runners, we have, I mean, first world infrastructure. So you come here and you can just hit the mountains. Like you can, like, we have runners from Singapore that come here just for the weekend. So they will fly the red eye flight from Singapore into the Hong Kong airport, drop their bags, and then start like running and training. Because here we have the mountains where Singapore is flat, and then go back on Sunday night, because like it's such a safe place. The mountains are it's just amazing.
It's a
So in Hong
paradise.
Kong,
It's paradise of
it's a
traveling.
paradise. It's a total paradise. We love it here. And we and trail running has grown and grown. I mean, since like our event was the first individual long distance race in Hong Kong, and since our event there has been other of equivalent distance or even longer. And it's the number of people participating. It's phenomenal. It's something that I think it's it it's not niche in the sense that it's only the people that are looking for extreme sports that are participating in it. A lot of people are doing it. Like, for example, this year we organized a virtual Hong Kong 100 with 3 distances. And so the shortest distance, you see even kids like that are like 9 years old doing it with their family, like somebody doing it with their dog and their pets. And yeah, I think it's, but on the other end of the spectrum, we have the elites just like fighting for the first place. And it's great, and it's growing. It's definitely, and I have every confidence that it will continue to grow here. With other places in Asia, the more mature places is Japan, I'd say. But the ones that is growing exponentially is China, Thailand. Nepal has got amazing athletes. Like they have so much talent there. Like
And
it's
so much
always
landscape.
so much landscape, so much, yeah, mountains, real huge mountains. Yeah, and it's great. I mean, there is so much diversity and variety here. And in the Philippines and in Malaysia is also growing. It's a and I think it's growing like in different ways as well. Like every country, every culture brings their version, their interpretation of trail running to this sport, which is fantastic to see.
Can you explain the beginning of your story with ITRA, and what image did you have of it before entering in?
Yeah, so I have been actually in it with ITRA for a very long time. I was the treasurer from
Treasurer, yeah.
2015.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so ITRA was started in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And so even when it was a very young baby organization, it was I have been involved as a treasurer in the steering committee. It all started off with a conversation with Michelle Poletti.
Mm-hmm.
Then we already know Michelle through Hong Kong 100. Our event is part of the Ultra Trail World Tour. So Michelle asked, "Hey, would you mind being the treasurer?" I said, "Okay." I mean, I'm
Why not?
so not good at that. So, yeah, why not? Like, yeah, it. I think to me, I like the idea of ITRA. I believe in its values, and it resonates with me. And being able to have colleagues from different parts of the world, I think it's exciting, it's interesting, it's fun, and it's about building an organization that I believe in. So it's something which is new to me. Like, my background doesn't really involve being in committees, like being in a non-profit organization. But I learned a lot through my association with ITRA. And it has been a great journey. I mean, seeing ITRA growing from a little organization, but with big ideas and big hopes, to where it is now. I mean, there's still a long way to go, I'm sure you know. But it has been exciting and interesting.
And how do you see the evolution of ITRA this past 5 years?
It has definitely grown. I mean, looking at the number of members, how well known it is in communities and in new places where trail running is just developing. It seems like everybody knows what ITRA is, and it's an organization, I think, that can help runners, can help organizers in what they do. We have a lot of projects, and it has been like that since day one. And it's a question of how much resources we have. And to be frank, we don't really have a lot of resources, but what we have, I think, is passion and dedicated people that believe in this idea of ITRA. We have a team of part-time and full-time staff, 5 of them based in Chamonix for historical reasons. They're in Chamonix, and they're great. I mean, they really believe in what ITRA is doing, and we work very closely with the team there. As I say, there are a lot of projects, and there's a lot of trial and error for sure. Some projects fly, some projects doesn't. I think like the sport itself, we're in a place where we are growing, and there's still a lot we're learning.
Can you explain how you became the first woman president of ITRA, and what was your feeling at this time?
So when Bob Crowley resigned in September last year, we needed to fill the place of president from the steering committee. And I was nominated by the steering committee to take it on. And I thought, I mean, ITRA has a lot of things it needs to do, and I'm prepared to do my best. And that's how it really happened. It wasn't something that I have planned. I have always enjoyed being part of ITRA and trying to help in any way, shape, or form I can. But this is really something that just happened last year because of Bob's resignation, and I think it was something that I can do, and I hope that there are things that I can contribute and help to take ITRA to the next level, to a good place. And as the first woman president, I mean, I'm honored. I actually feel that it was very exciting for a lot of people. A lot of people came to me and say how happy they are that ITRA has a female president, and because of this, I feel there is a big responsibility for me to get the job done well. And I don't want to let anybody down.
What was the situation of ITRA when you get into the presidential function?
I mean, as I said, I have been with ITRA for quite a long time now. So it's we know that what the organization is like. So it's an organization with a steering committee, with 16 members in the steering committee. We had the 5-star based in Chamonix, managing director. We have volunteers that help with specialized advice like health and safety, and I mean, I think when I took over the seat, the biggest change was the moving over of the performance index to a separate system from Life Trail, and that was the thing that was the main focus then, like how to set up the system and to make it work. And I know that like it's still creaky, but we're trying our best, like to solve the problems that we are facing. And that was really like the focus then. But hopefully, once we've ironed out all the problems, we can launch other initiatives, and we can do more for the global trail running community.
Today, what are the goals and the purposes of ITRA as an international trail running association? It seems that since the UTMB World Series announcement, ITRA, honestly, ITRA going through bad times. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I think ITRA's goals stays the same. It was an organization which is very young, which was set up in 2013. Our goals is still to promote trail running at an international level and to help in the development of trail running in different countries, and to give voice to trail runners and the sport across the world. It is as you say, I mean, there is the UTMB World Series, which I think where the position of them is, and ITRA is very different. ITRA is a non-profit organization set up to promote these goals, and so these things remain, like whatever our relationship with UTMB or other private circuits are. I think trail running still needs to have a body to look after the interests of its members, which are individual runners and organizers. And this, I think, it remains the same.
Okay. And today, what are the relations between ITRA and UTMB?
ITRA is an organization with members who are individual athletes and organizers. So UTMB is an organizer, so we would always want them to be part of ITRA as a member, and we would welcome them with open arms. I think it's a shame that I think UTMB maybe end of last year has said that ITRA is a competitor. I don't think it is, and I certainly don't believe that it has to be. And having UTMB as a member would be very good for the sport. UTMB is a great event. I mean, the World Series, I'm sure, would be a very good series. But UTMB and the World Series is a group of events, whereas for us, our focus, to me, is always all organizers, and all runners who participate in this sport of trail running. So I think whilst it's something that maybe a lot of people get very excited about, I think for ITRA, it's just one thing that it's a relationship we have with a circuit, albeit a very, very good circuit. And I do think that it is possible for us to have a better relationship, and it should be. I mean, Michel is still a founder member of ITRA, and he has devoted a lot of his time to ITRA. ITRA wouldn't be where it is without Michel's contribution. And I mean, I do hope that like things like this will settle with time, and we can work together.
Okay. What is the most difficult thing you have to face off today with ITRA?
I think the COVID was a big challenge for ITRA and its members, in particular its organizer members. And I think how to help the communities to get back on their feet globally, it's a big challenge. I think in Europe, a lot of events are doing okay now, but in a lot of places it's still very wobbly and or might not have happened yet. And I think the challenge is how to support these events and to help them to get over this difficult period, and for runners as well who have stopped running for a while, how to encourage them, how to get them back to participate in the sport.
To be a little bit more concrete, can you tell us what tools can ITRA bring to trail runner today?
We really want, apart from Performance Index, which actually helps all runners, not just elite, every runner to track their progress. It's a tool that like keep a record of what you have been doing and what you're doing. And I mean, if you're interested to compare yourself with others, and for organizers, the ranking of the evaluation of events, I think is a good tool. And of course, we need to refine it. Like there's trail running is just one of these sports with that is just has such a big variety. I mean, these are tools that we can continue to refine, and there's a lot more we want to do and we need to do on helping runners to be safe, to be healthy, and for organizers to put up good events. All these things, I think, are things that we should do, and we need an independent organization to do this, and also to advocate for the rights of the interests of runners and organizers, and to bring the sport to a new level. Hopefully, these are all things that we can help ITRA to realize, and in the way and in this journey, we all stand to benefit as runners and as organizers.
Okay, it's a little bit difficult for us to understand the difference between ITRA's running performance index and the UTMB running index. Can you explain the difference between the two?
This gets a bit technical, and I'll try my best, but I don't have the detailed algorithm. I mean, I certainly do not know UTMB's formula, so we can only speak on our behalf. So with ours, I mean, we have a similar approach when we decide to have our own system. We try to keep it as smooth a transition as possible. So keep the similar approach of calculation of the race scores, but we also try to implement some changes to make it perhaps in some ways more accurate or more fair. We take into the account of the main factors, which is distance and elevation, as we all know, but we also want to add things like the average altitude and the weighting of the scores. We intend to tweak as well. So, for example, instead of putting a lot of weight on one single isolated result of your best 5 scores over the 3 years, we try to look at the consistency of results. So somebody that have good results over 2 or more races, we will try and put more weight. So we will continue to tweak the algorithm. And of course, I mean, what is frustrating probably for runners is that like there will be a divergence. Like ITRA will have its own way of assessing a performance, and UTMB will have its own system.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is generally like, and this is why like you will start seeing the different scores for different runners.
Honestly, it's difficult for us in France because, as you may know, ITRA is really related to UTMB, and we have difficulties to understand what is the purpose of the ITRA Running Index today.
Yeah, I mean, I do recognize the the frustration. Like, if like in a way, like if you think about you've done 5 races, like why is it that like to some in the eyes of ITRA you are one score, in the eyes of UTMB you've got another score, and it 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 is something that is not satisfactory in my opinion. But for ITRA, I think it definitely needs a score for all races, because ITRA's members are individuals and organizers worldwide. It makes no difference to whether you are a small organizer or a big one. What's the how big your event is, or the yeah, or any other things. I mean, you sign up as a member and you are a member, and I think the performance index has to be something that ITRA manages, and it is the score that is recognized by World Athletics as well. And but I think it is a bit frustrating for runners, but I think things will evolve. I can't speak for UTMB, but and how their performance index will evolve. But ours, I mean, the approach for us will be that we want to come up with an index that is as accurate as possible to reflect runners' performance, and so that like wherever you are, whatever races you're doing, you can compare your performance against somebody from the other side of the world.
Okay.
And
Go ahead.
going back to Nicole, your comment about ITRA very much related to UTMB, and that's a perception in France. And again, that's totally understandable because, I mean, Michel was the president for 2 terms and a bit. So it's totally understandable that like a lot of people get it confused. But I think more and more people can see the difference now.
Yeah.
Like can see the separation of ITRA being a non-profit organization with a simple goal, and UTMB, which is a circuit.
Yeah. Why are there some difficulties today to have quotations on different events?
Yeah, I think the for different events, you mean like different distances of events, is it?
No, so we actually there is difficulties for runners to have some results lately on the ITRA site.
Yeah, we this is something that we are working on. We've asked our national representatives to help us to upload results. I mean, we try and capture, and of course, the index should reflect as many results as we can. So we are working very hard to get results, and it is something that we will try to to be better at, and try and get results up as soon as we can. But I do ask in a way for patience of runners, because I mean, I know for sure that our team in Chamonix is working very hard, and it is a very small team, but we will try to do better. We do recognize that why is it like not reflected as quickly as runners expect.
Okay. Is there any possibility that ITRA performance index be the only one index in the trail running world? And can we hope a reunification with UTMB index one day?
That's a very good question. Um, no, I don't have a crystal ball, but that is my hope as well. And I mean, ITRA, the performance index, as I mentioned, is the one recognized by World Athletics, and I hope that it will get more and more used and more recognized by the world for people, for runners to use and for organizers to use. I mean, like for example, if they want their races to have qualifying points, and to me, I hope that we will eventually have one index, uh, which is used by all events, and and the ITRA performance index right now for us. I mean, the good thing is we do have the control of it, so we can tweak it and we can adapt it to improve and make it better. And as to reunification, I guess yes, we hope we do hope and that this will happen. And as I mentioned, I mean, like UTMB was a very important a part of the birth and growth of ITRA, and I hope that like we can like get back on the same page and build trail running together.
There is many international organizations below the World Athletics. It is difficult for us trail runner to understand how is the international trail world organized. What is the place of ITRA in the middle of it?
Yeah, I think this is all about governing and of trail running with all these bodies. It is a bit opaque. You have to go to each of these organizations' websites and see like how they're organized. But I think for me, the way that I look at it as a trail runner is okay. There's World Athletics and IAU, WMRA, and European Athletics, which is like one of the continent bodies under World Athletics. These are all bodies. Their members are uh, like under World Athletics is the national federations, and they organize races and make rules. IAT's International Skyrunning Association, again, they organize events, organize races, and ITRA, I think, among in the midst of all this, it's an organization that has different members. It goes directly to the community. Its members are runners. Its members are organizers, and as I mentioned, its role is really to promote the interest of runners. And our members are not federations or, but we are here to help with the development of the sport, which means that of course we want to work with all these bodies, and we are always here to support them and if they need to give advice to them. For Trail World Championships, which is co-organized by ITRA, IAU, and WMRA, and with involvement of World Athletics, I think I would like to see like we all work together in the sport, and we even though like now you mentioned six, but I'm sure that like when trail running develops and matures, there'll be even more. Like and like in what about like in Asia, in South America, there'll be probably other bodies as well. But I guess we just have different roles to play
Okay.
in the sport.
What is the relation between ITRA and the National Federation as a FFA in France?
So the FFA is a national federation, and like all the other national federations, we would be happy, and we want to cooperate with them, and we like to be able to lend a helping hand if they need any advice on team selections for the championships. We have come up with these trail running modules, um, uh, which is so training programs for national federations who want to know more about trail running. So we've got these advice that we are happy to give to the federations directly. And also, like, we've come up over the years on like these protocols and guidelines on safety and health that we would be very happy to share with national federations.
Do you continue to promote the Quartz program?
No, we don't. The Quartz program is probably one of those projects that ITRA tried, but felt that it wasn't really uh, getting to where we want. I mean, definitely we want to promote the health of runners, um, uh, regular runners and elites, but I think we need to go back to the drawing board and come up with something that can be longer term and sustainable.
From my point of view, there is a deficit of communication at ITRA today. What are the plans to evolve in this domain?
In terms of communication with runners and organizers, I suspect that's what you're suggesting,
Mhm.
right? I think the way to do it is to listen to our members, what they need, what they want to hear about, and respond to it. And you're absolutely right, Nico. I mean, like we should come up with more newsletters, more updates, and I think over the years I see a lot of improvement on our social media already, like from where I stand, and it's the word it's getting further and further into the communities on what ITRA is, but there's still a lot to do, and we are serving like we're talking about like hundreds of thousands of runners and organizers, and we need to tailor to what they need. But for example, like languages as well, we need to be able to speak all the different languages to reach these different communities. And we need more people to know about ITRA, and we need more volunteers to come and help us on the communication side. But one thing I do want to mention is that our team in Chamonix is it's doing a really like good job of trying to answer emails every day. That because like we do have a lot of members, and we are doing our best, but there is a lot to improve, and I think it comes back to us as well. Like we need to find a way that we can communicate better, and we actually love to do that. It's what gives us most satisfaction, is to able to connect.
Yeah. If a runner or an organizer subscribe to ITRA, what ITRA bring to them?
For members, it it's probably like all the information is on the website. Like I don't have it on my fingertips, but I think apart from like you get information about yourself, like more information than if you have a free account. The other thing is, I think you're supporting a the organization, and we do need the support of members, and we are trying to launch projects, and we do hope that runners can help us by joining, and all these, like the performance index, the ranking, and the 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 development of these start lists for organizers. All these things we're still trying to develop, and frankly, it's for quite a small fee. I think it's for runners. It's €8, which I guess is the price of a lunch, perhaps. And you asked
8 euros a
a
year.
year. For a year, yeah. And I mean, hopefully by doing that, we uh, you support a organization that you believe in, that in its values, and we will try and provide more and more services. And I think one of the things we want to do is to help to basically connect runners around the world, and yeah, make the world more connected, as far as trail running is concerned.
Okay. How do you see the future of trail running? It's a wide question.
It's a very hard question, but I think it will just grow. There will be more players involved. More people will be interested in the sport, be it participating in the sport or like supporting the sport and sponsoring the sport. And it is very fast growing. I think there are some statistics which talk about like double-digit growth, like every year for the past decade already. I can definitely see a huge growth, like in events in my region, in our little event as well. There, I think, will be more and more diversity, as more people come up with different ideas of what trail running is and should be. I think there will be different ways of doing the sport. It's and I think just we're gonna see more and more people involved in it, like the media, the way that this sport is covered. I mean, this is one of the sport where it's so closely connected to nature and to the natural environment. It's hugely interesting to people that participate, or even people that just want to stay back and watch it. So I think we're just seeing the beginning of trail running, yeah, as something like widely known to the world. I think it's moving, like, from being an extreme or a niche sport to moving more and more mainstream now.
Okay, I'm totally agree. Do you think that Asia will be the strong place of trail running in the future?
It will definitely be a strong place, but I think trail running will be strong in all places. I think it's a sport which is so natural. You don't really have to be like um, the best athlete in the world to participate in it. Like, as if you know the basics, to know how to look after yourself in the natural environment, and a pair of running shoes, and you're set to go. And I think in Asia, definitely, there's still so much unexplored territory here, that it will be like ideal places for growth. And as people become more and more affluent as well, I think people will want to go and have the time to go and do the sport. And also at the same time, it's just so it becomes such a big contrast to what people do in normal life, that I think it will be an interesting thing for people to pursue, and more people will be exposed to it because, as I say, more media will cover it. You have more friends that is already like trying it out. I think it will be a strong place, but at the same time, I think South America, as well, other places, it will be as strong.
Okay, Janet, is there any subject or topic that you want to talk about before we get into the conclusion?
I would like to encourage everybody to just go and run, to explore, yes, to just find your trail running adventure, and to join ITRA and support us.
Okay, Janet, a huge thank you for your time. It was a pleasure, and see you maybe later in Hong Kong.
No, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in Hong Kong, Nico. And it's a real pleasure to speak to you, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Bye bye, Janet. See you soon.
See you, Nico.
Bye bye.